So, the Cuban in blue, the world champion Estrada, up against Abdrakhmanov of Kazakhstan in red.
Well, if ever the term real deal applied to boxing, more it would be now. The Cuban Estrada, the current world champion, took gold at the AIBA World Championships in Baku 2011. He comes to take on probably the most popular guy in town at this moment, Berik Abdrakhmanov. Abdrakhmanov took gold at the Asian Championships. He's a Kazakh national champion. Gives away a slight height advantage to the Cuban.
Yeah, we've already seen that telling early on. Estrada's picked off some really nice shots at distance here. Abdrakhmanov powering forward.
Estrada, southpaw, very rangy style, but he's being closed down by the Kazakh. The Kazakh is bringing the fight to the Cuban and trying to out-hench him at this point. Really bullying up to the Cuban and starting to make him work on the back foot. But that back foot is a lively one, and the Cuban's always creative. Just look at that slip there, on his toes, comes right under that searching left hand of the Kazakh. Double combination there from the Cuban, just to keep the Kazakh at distance and worried. Turns his man beautifully, brings the right hand in. Well, Abdrakhmanov gets his own shot away there, brings the overhand right over.
Oh, another cracking shot from the Cuban there as the Kazakh athlete comes in. That reach advantage being used very well now by Альварес.
Well, Lazaro Estrada has caused a problem to the left eye of the Kazakh fighter. There was always going to be a choice here. That was to take shots coming in or stay at distance. The Kazakh's chosen to bring the fight, but Lazaro turns him. Absolutely beautiful, but the Kazakh stays with him. You could call this boy Abdrakhmanov the Velcro Kid. He's just locked in tight to everything that the Cuban's got. The Cuban still tries to keep him at range, but right in, up close, working inside. Abdrakhmanov really buoyed on by the cheering here of the crowd, doing a tremendous job. Well, Cuban up to the task, responds in kind.
Well, in three three-minute rounds of boxing, you can just about get away with that kind of pace. He's going to give it everything, Abdrakhmanov. If he's up against the world champion on home soil, he's not going to put in a weak performance. But Estrada there, he was hitting so many good quality shots.
As was the Kazakh fighter. He fought his way in, took the shots, but then made them pay off by capitalizing once he was inside. This is going to be a grueling, gritty bout.
Well, it's interesting here. For aggression, sheer aggression, the Kazakh athlete, work rate was unbelievable. But yes, the right decision there. Estrada was quality. He might not have thrown as many punches, but a lot of them hit right on the money. 9-10 across the board, judge A, B, and C. And Abdrakhmanov, now having expended a huge amount of energy in that first round, has got an even tougher task. He's one round down to the world champion. So, Cuba in blue, the world champion, up against the local Kazakh hero, Abdrakhmanov in red.
Well, the Cuban first off his chair in the corner. Abdrakhmanov needed the time to recover. As you rightly said, Colin, a lot of energy being expended. I mean, he's thrown enough punches there for a 12-rounder. Again, the Cuban, Альварес, manages to stay at distance and work those margins on the perimeter of the distance between these two men. The right eye of the Kazakh fighter starting to show a little bit of distress. They've cleaned it up in the corner, but he's back to business here. But looks so comfortable, so composed, and just using that right hand to mark the territory out between him and the Kazakh fighter Abdrakhmanov. Crowd going wild here. We've had Kazakh fighters go through to the finals in today's earlier sessions. Will Abdrakhmanov make it through?
Well, he's just been sent to a neutral corner there by the referee. They want the doctor just to have a little look at that eye. His left eye, in fact, indeed his right eye has got heavy bruising. He's looking at both sides of his face. The Cuban has really hit him with some powerful shots. And of course, for these athletes, they've had as many as 4 bouts before. By the end of this, they'll have fought 15 rounds with no headgear. And if you go on to the final, it could be 18 rounds. Look at this, Abdrakhmanov, buoyed on by the crowd. He's not going to go down without a fight.
Well, I think Abdrakhmanov realises that he needs something dramatic in this round because he's being slightly outclassed here by the Cuban. The Cuban's got the technical ability, he's got the range, and he's got the equipment to deal with. And the southpaw stance of the Cuban is working well for him against Abdrakhmanov. Cuban says, well, come on then, if you want to go toe-to-toe, why don't you bring it and let's see how that works for you. And of course, wrong question to ask a Kazakh fighter because he'll oblige you. Tries to turn him cheeky, but it would have been rude not to. So Abdrakhmanov on the hunt now. He knows he's playing catch-up, gets tagged again at distance.
The referee says, keep your head up. To be honest, it's playing into the hands of the Cuban. As he ducks down, the Cuban's getting some good shots on. He can back him into a corner here and do some damage. That's what he needs to do.
The Cuban is just so elusive. And it must be so frustrating because Abdrakhmanov has got the skill sets, he's got the power, and he's just not being presented with an opportunity to bring them both together. It's been a very, very joined-up fight from the Cuban.
Well, at the end of round 2, this is once again a brilliant semi-final. 2 different styles, the Kazakh really taking it to the Cuban. As you said, though, Will, at one point there, the Cuban said, come on then, bring it on, and he got it.
Just in that exchange there, some fierce and scathing blows. Well, they've both tested each other's chins. Let's see what they bring in the third.
But it's all evens on Judge C's scorecard, 10-9 there to Abdrakhmanov, just because of the work rate, I guess, and aggression. But for the other 2 judges, it's 18-20, 2 rounds to 0, going to the Cuban right now. So Lazaro Estrada is in the lead at the moment, and Berik Abdrakhmanov is going to have to pull out something special in the final round if he's going to pull this off. 3 more minutes of World Championship boxing. Can Berik Abdrakhmanov find the strength and energy to beat this fabulous Cuban?
Well, I said at the beginning of this fight, all the upsets are probably now out of the way, having gone through the quarter-final stage. But at semi-final, you'd expect to see high-quality, high-level athleticism. We still could see a surprise. The Kazakh needs a big shot to try and put away the Cuban, and that's just exactly what he's doing. But this is a demonstration of elegance. This really is a masterclass from the Cuban, because by no small measure, Abdrakhmanov is a class act. He's bringing power, he's bringing precision to these shots, but the Cuban, well, a will-o'-the-wisp. He really is outboxing Abdrakhmanov.
Well, it just slowed Abdrakhmanov a bit there. The Cuban caught him a little below the belt, and it's caused Abdrakhmanov just to slow the rate a little bit. Oh, and another cracking left from Альварес.
The crowd absolutely behind their man, as you can imagine. But to keep the work rate up that he has from the very first bell, that in itself is a challenge. Lands a right hand there. The Cuban on his toes, absolutely composed. What a great bout. And again, what a great exhibition of boxing athleticism.
it's just fascinating, isn't it? Three-minute rounds, no headgear. The 10-point system is bringing out the very best in boxing. It's not a 12-rounder. They can't sit back. The Kazakh is leaving absolutely everything on the canvas here. He still has 1 minute and 5 seconds to go. He's chucking everything at the Cuban now. Looks completely exhausted after just 2.5 rounds.
Well, I've said this in previous bouts. When you fight a champion, you've got to beat a champion. But that's what made the Cuban a champion in the first place. Nearly got taken there with a slipsy uppercut from the Kazakhstan fighter. But the Cuban now should cruise this round out all the way, but he's not. He's taking it to the wire, engaging with Abdrakhmanov, and this really is the highest level of boxing standards.
But the crowd is still behind him. They would just love it if Berik, as they're cheering, Abdrakhmanov would have pulled out a super punch here and rocked the Cuban. He's running out of time, just over 10 seconds to do it. He's on full throttle attack. The Cuban hangs on here, and time has almost gone. That's it, the final bell goes. Both men raise their hand in victory. But if the Cuban, with that slight points advantage, gets even one of the judges, then this is his.
So right up to the wire, the Kazakhstani fighter brought it all the way, and right till the very last bell was looking for something, a rabbit out of the hat to make something decisive in his favour in this last round, but the Cuban was in control. However, we'll see how the judges scored it, on aggression or precision.
Big smiles from the Cubans to the crowd here. The Cubans are always extremely popular at the World Championships. The most successful nation ever in World Championship boxing, and they are again this evening. 9-10, 9-10, 10-9. The Cuban got 2 of the 3 judges, and he wins 2-1, a split decision.